14th of December, Rabbi Moore, Parsha Hashevua with Rashi, Vayechi.
Anybody here? Oh, great.
Hello, Rabbi. How are you?
Baruch Hashem. I had a problem yesterday because I didn't have a password to give myself. But anyway, so then I did it over the phone, just a regular phone. I did that.
Okay, well, I'm glad it worked out eventually.
Right.
Sorry, I wasn't able to make it.
Okay.
Where are we?
That's a good. Well, you're sitting at home by your computer.
And where are you?
Okay. You remind me, there's this famous story about Rabbi Chaim Shmulevitz. When they left Shanghai, they took a boat to America, I think to the West Coast. Anyway, it was a long sea journey. And Chaim Shmulevitz was standing there on deck and leaning over, and ostensibly looked because he was looking what was going on. Anyway, so one of his Talmidim said to him, says, Rebbe, where are we? In the middle of Shmaitza Gimel. In the middle of a sugya. Anyway. Okay. Pasuk Lamed Aleph. Pasuk Lamed Aleph.
Lamed Aleph.
Okay. By the way, you hear me clearly, yes?
Yes,
Yeah,
I do.
Clearly.
What? Yeah, good. Okay. Pasuk Lamed Aleph. Lou, you weren't here yesterday. Vayomer. Okay, basically, so far, I just want to fill you in that Yaakov Avinu is making Yosef make an oath that he's going to bury, that when his time comes, he's going to pass away, that Yosef should take Yaakov's body up from Egypt and bury me in, he's asking, bury him in the cave of Machpelah together with his fathers. Okay, and he says, I'm going to, I will do as you say. Now, Pasuk Lamed Aleph, Vayomer, Yaakov then says,
Vayomer, Kishava li, Vayishava lo. Vayish tachu Yisrael al Rosh Hamita. So he said, he being Yaakov,
right,
swear to me. And he swore to him. That is, Yosef swore to Yaakov. And Israel prostrated on the head of the bed.
Okay. Okay, so we'll see in Rashi a couple of points over here. What do you mean he prostrated himself? Israel prostrated himself upon the head of the bed. So I'm saying, where did he bow down? Where did he prostrate himself? Was he on the bed? What is Al Rosh Hamita? Upon the head of the bed. We'll see in Rashi, okay?
Okay, so Vayishtachu Yisrael. Vayishtachu Yisrael. Yisrael prostrated himself. Ta'ala be'idane segid lay. Okay, so let's see. When it is the time.
Ta'ala, right, is a fox. Shua.
Oh, a fox?
Right. the fox in its time, Segidle, bow down to him. So the Mefarshim explain, this is actually Gemara in Megillah, and the Mefarshim explain what's chat, that in the animal kingdom, it's a very democratic system there, and every one of the animals, at different times of year or whatever, each one of the animals gets a chance to be the, I guess, the prime animal, from the prime minister, I guess. So he's the one in charge. He's the one who's the ruler of the animal kingdom. And even the fox, which is not a very necessarily such a strong or majestic or powerful animal, nevertheless, he also gets his turn. Okay, so sure, the fox, in its time, when it's his time to be the ruler of the animal kingdom, Sagidle, bow down to him. Means everybody bows down, and when it's the fox's turn to be the head of the animal kingdom, all the other animals bow down to him. What does that mean over here? Is Rashi's bothered by the thing? What's going on here? Yisrael, the father, is bowing down to the son, to Yosef. So Rashi explains, yes, because this is a particular situation where Yaakov Avinu was not empowered, was not in the position to be in the power to ensure that he's going to be buried in Eretz Yisrael. And Yosef is yes in such a position. So therefore, in this particular aspect, Yosef is more powerful than Yaakov, his father. And Yaakov, as out of gratitude to his son, feels he has to honor his son and bow down to him. So Rashi says, yes, there are such situations, even though Yosef is obviously in a much lower level than his father, and it's not becoming, it's not something which would respectable that the father bows down to his son. Nevertheless, in this particular instance, since Yosef was now in a position to do something for his father, and Yaakov himself was not, and therefore Yaakov felt that he had to give honor to his son for the fact that he had agreed to carry out this task, and it was something which only Yosef was empowered to do, and Yaakov himself was not. So therefore, Yaakov bowed down to his son. That's the Chayei Pshuta, that's the chapter there. Okay?
Al Rosh Hamita, on the head of the bed, or upon the head of the bed. Hafach atzmo litzad hashchina. Mikan amru.
So let's translate this first bit. What does that mean?
Okay. So he turned himself to the side of the Shechina.
Right. So Rashi's explaining, why did Yaakov, although ostensibly Yaakov was bowing down to Yosef, as implied by the Rashi's previous comment, nevertheless, Yaakov Avinu bowed down in such a way that it was also construed as bowing down to the Shechina. And that's why he turned, when he bowed down to Yosef, he bowed down towards the head of the bed. That's the meaning of Al Rosh Hamita, means he turned, as he was bowing down to Yosef, who was next to him, obviously, he did it in such a way that he tilted his head towards the head of the bed, implying that he's also bowing down to the Shechina.
Mikan amru, from here we say, Shehashchina le'mala me ra'ashosav shel chole. We say that the Shechina is above from the head rest of a sick person.
Right. Shechina is above the head of a sick person.
Davar acher, alternatively, al rosh hamita, on the head of the bed, al shehaysa mi taso shalema, because his bed was perfect,
It's complete.
was
Right.
complete.
So according to this second shot, our Rosh Hamita is not a physical thing. He bowed down on account of Rosh Hamita.
What does that mean? His bed was perfect.
Meaning, as Rashi goes on to explain,
Oh,
Eloi
v'lo
Hoya
ba'isa
Bo
ba rasha. There was no evil person that came from his from
means
him.
all his children were all tzaddikim.
Shaharei Yosef Melech Hu. That we see that Yosef was a king. Va'od shenishba leves hagoyim.
Levein Hagoy.
Bevain hagoyim.
Levein Hagoy. Nishba Levein Hagoy.
Levain hagoyim. And furthermore, that he was captive for the children of the nation.
Levein means in between, among. He was taken captive Levein Hagoyim, among the Goyim, in the midst of the Goyim. And yet,
V'havei hu omeid betzidko. And it was that he stood in his righteousness.
right, it means he remained steadfast in his righteousness. So we mentioned this before, this amazing thing that Yosef, he left his father as a teenager, 17-year-old boy, and for 22 years he was totally disconnected from his conducive environment, of an environment conducive to spirituality and maintaining his level of spirituality. And yet, nevertheless, even though he was totally disconnected for those 22 years from his home and from his from any positive education, nevertheless, and besides that as well, he was mamash placed among the Goyim. He was living in the Egyptian high society, and you can imagine a country which is infamous for its immorality. What went on in high society was no doubt mirrored that kind of behavior, and yet Yosef remained steadfast in his righteousness and he wasn't affected in the slightest, which is something mind-boggling. It's not for nothing, actually, that Yosef gets the title. He's known as Yosef HaTzadik. Okay. By the way, I once heard recently, there's two people in Chazal who are called Tzadik. Noach, Ish Tzadik, Tovim Hoya B'Dereisa, and Yosef HaTzadik. What is the common denominator between them? Common denominator is that they kept the world alive. Noach was the only one of he and his family were the only human beings left alive. And I mean, obviously, as a result of his righteousness, he merited to be the ones who to keep the world alive. And obviously, all human beings living nowadays are all descendants of Noach and his family. That's one aspect. That's why Noach is called a tzaddik. And also Yosef as well is called tzaddik because he provided sustenance for the entire world. Because Egypt was the only place in the world, or certainly in this, the area of, how should we call it, the area of civilization in those days, which was centered around Egypt and Mesopotamia and Canaan, this whole Middle Eastern area. This was the world this was the center of the civilized world. And Yosef kept that entire area alive by providing food for them. Okay, anyway, upon him, Yosef was amazingly still remained steadfast in his righteousness. Okay, let's go on to the next pasuk. Mem Ches.
Okay. It says, Vayechi acharei hadvarim ha'ele, vayomer liYosef, hine avicha chole, vayikach et shnei vanav imo et Menashe v'et Ephraim. Okay, so let's see. And it happened after these things. They said to Yosef.
Well, he said to Yosef.
Okay. Behold, your father is ill. And he took his two sons with him, Menashe and Ephraim.
Very good.
Okay, so Rashi, Vayomer liYosef. Then he said to Yosef, Echad min ha-magidin. That's what I was wondering. So it says,
It doesn't say who told him. Who is this? Who's he? Said to Yosef.
Yeah.
Who is it?
That's what I was wondering.
Okay,
It
so
says-
Rashi gives, let's summary what's the thing. Echad min ha-magidim. One of the people, one of the messengers.
One of the messengers. Okay.
The
The
Harei-
Harez, yeah.
Carry on.
The Harez mikra katzar.
This is an abbreviated, a terse verse.
Oh,
Excuse the poetry. But,
well, I guess he got right to the point.
in other words, the Torah, where the Torah doesn't need to tell you who it is, so the Torah doesn't do that. It's self-understood. Okay?
Oh, okay. I see now what you're saying. Okay. The Omrim, and there are those that say, Ephraim hayat ragil lifnei Yaakov. So Ephraim was what? Regularly before.
He would serve. He was there in attendance
In
of Yaakov
attendance.
on a regular basis.
Oh, the Talmud for studying.
Right.
Okay. Ukeshet chala Yaakov. And when Yaakov became sick, the Eretz Goshen, in the land of Goshen, halach Ephraim etzel aviv lemitzrayim lahagid lo. Oh, so it was Ephraim.
He was the
Ephraim
one.
went.
He said to Yosef, it was Ephraim, in fact.
Went to his father, to Egypt, to tell him.
Right.
Wow.
Okay, one more Rashi here.
Okay,
By
Vayikach.
the way, the Gemara says that Yaakov Avinu was the first person ever to be sick.
Oh,
Because till then, people would judge, that's what Gemara says actually, when a person sneezes, you'd say, that's why the minute we say, bless you, zu gesund, is because in olden times, person would sneeze, that would like, put in a little bit of crude terms, he would snuff it, right? That means he would die on the spot. That was the understanding. They just sneeze and that was it.
So I understand that the Midrash says that, excuse me, the reason that Yaakov requested this was because he wanted to know when he was going to die.
Right, correct. And he wanted to have an opportunity to give over will and testament to his children.
So if that's the case, why do we have disease now that is not associated with dying?
So the Gemara says there's a whole series of things. First of all, it's in to bring a person to do tshuva. Person realizes that nothing happens to him on earth without it being decreed from above. Akash Baruch Hu makes a person sick in order to either for kapara savonos or to rouse him to do tshuva. That's the main thing.
So before Yaakov, nobody had a need for doing tshuva?
it depends who they were.
It was the whole world of people.
Yeah, but it seems obviously that maybe just merely being sick wasn't enough to arouse him to do tshuva. You see that when Noach built a teva, he warned them for 120 years he was building his teva. He says, you know, there's going to be a flood and you're all going to go. They just laughed at him. I don't know.
But isn't it the same today? I mean, there are many people who get sick and that doesn't mean anything to them. They don't learn anything from it.
I don't know. It's a good point. Okay, just let's finish because I have to finish today's psalm and I'm davening mincha 1:15. So okay. So we'll just finish off here.
Okay, so he took his two sons with him. Kidei shivarchem Yaakov lifnei moto.
In order to Yaakov should bless them before he died.
Before he passed on.
Okay? Okay, so we'll have to stop here, put up to Pasuk base. Very good. Have a great day. Where's Hashem back tomorrow?
Okay.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Be well. Thank you.
Have a good one, Meir. Have a good one, Yechiel.
Thank you. Yechiel, be well. Have a good afternoon. Good day.